I want to start by asking you, the American Chamber of Commerce in Hong Kong carried out a survey with American businesses. What did the results tell you?
Well, this is a temperature testing survey because at this juncture for Hong Kong, we feel it's really important to try to understand how people are feeling about the Hong Kong national security law, US sanctions being invoked, and the general atmosphere in the business community. In a nutshell, the business community is concerned. They're worried about everything that's happening around them, a paradigm shift in Hong Kong, so to speak. But on the positive side, there's a real wait and see attitude to try to digest everything that's happening and see how they can adapt to it to move forward. 40% of those who responded to the survey said they were personally thinking of leaving Hong Kong either in the short term or the medium to longer term. Now, the good news is the short term is really only 10%. People are thinking of picking up their things and leaving very quickly. Others are thinking about medium to longer term departures. And that's because A, they want to see how things develop, but B, they are recognizing that you don't just pick up and leave. There are a lot of issues to be resolved first and a lot of thoughts about where to take their businesses and how to handle all the changes that are going on.
I see. So for businesses who want to leave, what do you think they are most concerned about?
Well, I think the overall concern, as is evidenced in this survey and the survey we did just a month ago, is the national security law and the ambiguity of the national security law in terms of its implementation. Overall, we're hearing that people are worried about the broad scope of the law and actually how it could potentially impact them without a real description or explanation of who's at risk to this law and how it would be implemented to companies and individuals. So another example there is the law has a extraterritorial clause, which means companies or people are not just subject to this law within Hong Kong itself, but outside of Hong Kong. And that worries people that their companies are at a much wider risk. Another area of the law that concerns people is this notion of foreign collusion. That's a very broad description. What does it actually mean? And of course, at the American Chamber of Commerce, while we are an international chamber, we do have quite a few American businesses. And with the US-China trade dispute and other issues really holding strong right now, that starts to worry people about American businesses operating here and the large and strong American community of individuals we have living in Hong Kong.
Well, that brings me to my next question. Let's bring it back to Hong Kong. What would it mean for Hong Kong if these companies really did pick up and leave? And if so, where would they go?
Well, it wouldn't be good news. Hong Kong is an international city. That is the beauty of Hong Kong. It's a gateway city. It's a win-win for international companies from all over the world to trade here. That's what makes Hong Kong dynamic and special. That's why there is an open international capital market here, a huge amount of trade flowing in and out of Hong Kong, in and out of China and around the world with great connectivity. It is difficult, all in all, to say where people would go. An obvious point is to go to Singapore, but Singapore doesn't cover all the areas that Hong Kong does in terms of the huge amount of investment and money flow. And other areas just don't have that openness and dynamism that Hong Kong has as a major center for trade and commerce.
But things are rapidly changing, such as, President Trump's comment from earlier on today. What does your gut feeling tell you? Is there going to be a mass exodus of American businesses leaving Hong Kong?
Well, I do think that it's easy for people to think about the idea of a mass exodus, as in a day where everyone gets on a plane, packs their bags, and just leaves. But I don't think in this case it's particularly realistic or particularly recommended. People need to think about their next steps. And also COVID obfuscates the situation greatly. It's difficult for people to travel anywhere right now. I think what is realistic to expect that over the next year, over the next 2 years, we will see a reset for Hong Kong. We will see some people go. We may see a different type of person come in, and we'll see a general feeling of change that comes from what is a significant shift for Hong Kong. On the downside, that's quite sad because Hong Kong has been a very dynamic and successful city. On the positive side, maybe in a period of time, we'll start to see a new Hong Kong take shape, and hopefully a Hong Kong that still maintains its dynamism as a business center. But there's some work to do, and quite probably, there is a pain threshold to go through for both people and for companies in the coming couple of years.
Tara Joseph, President of the American Chamber of Commerce in Hong Kong. Always great to have you on our platform. Thank you.
Thank you.